How many of you are a little scared to read the headlines most mornings? All right, so between Trump, Elon Musk, Trump, the Republican people in office, Trump, and the other sheer what the heck is going on, it's hard. Some of the things we read with our mouth slightly open, wondering if we really read what we think we just read. We're wondering if we're being punked most of the time when we read the headlines. So I'll be honest, ever since the first week of November, I've cycled through quite a few stages. I need to know all the information is one stage. I'm not sure I want to know any of this. I think I need to know this, but dang, it's hard. And finally, if I'm reading an article, sometimes I'm looking for that onion sign, that site, it's a satirical website. And I'm not finding it. Even though it reads satire, it's not on there. So you might think that with all the headlines and the articles that we're reading on Google News or CNN, or a plethora of articles that are being shared on Facebook, you're going to think that the world is 1 minute away from something really, really bad. It's important to remember, though, that bad sells. Good things are happening too, even if it doesn't seem like they are. Good things are happening too, even if they don't make it to that top 5 headlines on the list. Why is it important to find the good news? So this is taken from an article. It says 6 research-backed reasons why reading positive news is good for you by Corian Sanders. So number 1, it mitigates the psychological toll of negative news. Researchers at the University of Southampton found in a study involving over 2,000 respondents that consuming bad news can cause anxiety and an overall bad mood. But it's 2 million hours later. Uplifting news, on the other hand, motivated readers to make a positive impact rather than lament societal issues. Number 2, it encourages readers to stay informed on important issues. One study found that participants who read an online story focusing on solutions to poverty spent more time on the page. Another showed that solution-based articles made readers more interested in the issue that it featured and hopeful about making a difference themselves. Number 3, it boosts your outlook and your mood. Researcher Nathaniel Lambert of Brigham Young University discovered that people who share feel-good stories with others tend to be happier. In his 4-week study, participants documented experiences that made them feel grateful in a journal and then shared them with a partner twice a week. Doing so made them more content and satisfied with their lives. If you think about any of you all that are on social media, when you share something positive, a positive article, that's how you feel afterwards. That you've made a bit of a difference, even if it just felt like a drop at that time. Number 4, it improves relationships. The same study mentioned that above found partners' responses to the journals that were shared had a direct effect on the participants' moods. Those who responded enthusiastically ended up boosting their partners' moods, while listening to grateful experiences made them feel happier too. Not only do those positive interactions open up communication, but build trust as well. These all sound like no-brainers, I know. But sometimes it really helps to hear the list. It helps people adapt after difficult situations. So studying service member couples in Oregon, social psychologist Sarah Arkin of Gonzaga University learned that sharing good news makes life easier for service members returning from deployment or helping during natural disasters. Those who shared positive experiences with supportive partners slept better and were more successful in the workplace. This study adds to a larger body of literature that supports how important it is to share with your partner when good things happen, as well as to respond positively to the sharing of good news, Sarah said. Finally, number 6, good news is good for your heart. According to researchers, news that inspires optimism can improve heart health. Laura Kubzansky of Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found in a study that optimistic people tend to have healthier lifestyles and cope with stress better, making them less likely to die from heart disease or suffer a stroke. And it ends with, while we're amazed by all of these benefits, we can't say we're surprised. After all, spreading positivity is what it's all about. So where can you find good news? Because sometimes it's not Google News and it's not CNN News. You can find good news at places like goodnewsnetwork.org. Right? So you can go on this website and you can scroll. Do you want good news that's happening in the US? There's a spot for you. For the world, do you want inspiring news or do you want technological news? That's all good. So I'm going to read excerpts from a few articles that I found. Good news that have happened since November. Because I needed that. So in Detroit, this was from WXYZ Detroit Channel 7 News. Kids leave Halloween candy on doorstep, seeing signs of son's hospitalization. This happened on November, or the news article was November 5th. So Amy Schmidt and her son love to dress up for Halloween. The house is always festooned with decorations, and locals know it's a must-visit stop along any trick-or-treating route. I bet she gave away the full-size cake. After her son was hospitalized 2 days before, Schmidt had no time to join in the festivities and left a simple note on her door, apologizing that her son Jacob was in the hospital and there'd be no candy this year. You can picture Schmidt's disappointment, but as the night began to fade, her phone began to buzz. It was the Ring doorbell camera app alerting her to movement. A group of children who were dumping some of their own candy into a bucket on Schmidt's porch, her and Jacob. It's overwhelming all the love we've got, and I don't know half of these people, Schmidt told ABC 7 News Detroit, adding that the parents deserve major credit for raising such considerate young neighbors. It's just amazing, she said, what these parents have raised these kids to be. Several groups of children made the ad hoc donations, including 6-year-old Mia, who told WXYZ Detroit notes she had finished trick-or-treating only to ask her father to go out again to collect candy specifically to leave at the Schmidt's door for Jacob. She felt bad and didn't want anybody not to have candy on Halloween, said Mia's father. All right, so that's one. Children are always good for good news. She got a second one, November 19th. And the headline was, "A waiter in Canada is learning Cree to better serve customers." So allegedly, there's a saying among the Cree Nation that goes, "Listen or your tongue will keep you deaf." For Adam Riker, a waiter at a cafe in Saskatchewan, it was his listening that opened up a world of human connection when he decided he should learn the language of his customers. Smitty's restaurant in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, sees its fair share of tribal members, and the personable Riker found it difficult to connect with them. According to an interview with CBC News, Riker explained that when he lived in Edmonton, he made the effort to serve diners in French, something the French-speaking Canadians, warmly appreciated. Despite the obvious challenges in learning a language beyond Latin, Riker decided to listen so as not to be deaf to the hearts and culture of his customers. He began learning Cree to take orders and welcome guests, and helped break the ice by asking tribal customers to help him with certain words. He has positive energy, and then when he came back to us, that's when he told me that he's been trying to learn Cree. Natasha Wolf, a Cree Nation member, told CBC's Louise Big Eagle. Wolf shared a video of him doing his job in Cree on social media to alert tribal members of his compassion and the interest in their language. GNN reported earlier this year on a famous polyglot YouTuber visiting Cree Nation lands and surprising the people there by speaking Cree, the semi-fluency. According to the YouTuber, Cree is a difficult language to learn even among native languages, and for this reason, there's a real concern it will die out in the coming generations. Riker is exactly the kind of messenger that keeps languages alive, their use in day-to-day activities. He says that his Cree is still very basic, but he will keep trying to learn. He says he finds some parts of Cree challenging, like learning the written language and the alphabet. Along with speaking to customers, Ryger watches YouTube lessons by Cree member Simon Bird, who the waiter says is able to communicate the phonetics of the language perfectly. I chose this article because we hear so many times if they want to move here, they should learn our language. English was not the original language. So this, where a man is learning the language of the natives in his area, felt warm to me. Felt very warm. Okay, so you all are not going to be surprised by this next article that I'm going to read to you. Hundreds of volunteers form a human chain to get 9,000 books to the new location for an independent bookseller. So this was April 17th. A beloved Michigan bookstore recently received a helping hand from the community when a human chain formed to pass its entire inventory from the store's old location to the new one. One wonders how many times a neighbor asked another whether they had read this one, or what drivers must have thought passing by the main drag in Chelsea where the store is located. Serendipity Books and its owner Michelle Tublin had a problem. It was moving day. 9,100 books needed to be packed up and sorted in the new location. She faced the prospect of closing down for several days at least, which is never a good thing on the tight margins of an independent bookstore. Talking to social media and putting out a call for volunteers among her many followers and customers, Tublin received an overwhelming response as 300 people showed up to lend a hand. That's when Tublin came up with a novel idea, a human chain, or two. It was a joyful experience, Donna Zack, one of the volunteers, told NBC News. We were passing the books and noticing and commenting to each other. Have you read this one? I really enjoyed this one. Fortunately for everyone involved, the new space was just 350 feet from the old one, and in just 2 hours, the entire collection had been moved and stocked in alphabetical order. I'm grateful this even began to express how we are feeling. Serendipity Books posted on Instagram. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you, Chelsea. People really consider independent bookstores their own, Tublin said Tuesday. It's really a part of the community and they have ownership. The new store is more than twice the size of the old one and will be celebrating its official opening, on April 26th, America's Independent Bookstore Day. Not that we had one of those. A follower on Instagram comment section suggested that the story of Michelle Tublin and her book brigade deserved press coverage. We agree, but add that it may deserve more. Somebody should write a book about it. All right, so that was on the Good News Network. Another place you can find good news is www.positive.news. I know it's rich. Again, you can choose the theme of your good news. Do you want technology? Do you want inspiration? Do you want good news on animals? It's all there. Another feature that it has is called What Went Right This Week? The good news that matters. So I clicked on it. I'm going to read you just the headlines and then the next little few lines. This is this past week. The EU ratified the Global Ocean Treaty. A treaty to safeguard the world's high seas has been ratified by the EU, a move that Greenpeace says was welcome. Also this past week, Scotland proposes ecocide bill. Scotland is poised to become the first UK nation to criminalize ecocide, severe and reckless harm to nature, under a new bill published in the Scottish Parliament. I had to read this one twice because I wasn't sure. Violent crime falling rapidly across the US. Just says that there's been a dramatic decline in violent crime across the US so far this year, as the murder rate continues its downward trajectory. I did continue reading this one, and they said they understand that the year's still fairly new, but they are optimistically hopeful. Canada and the UK, homeworking capitals of the world. No, this does not mean kids do their homework. This means that people in Canada and the UK work more from home than employees elsewhere, with no evidence that it impacts their productivity. What else do we have? Australia's grid is greener than ever. For decades, Australia's energy grid has been stubbornly coal dependent, but a rapid shift is now underway. Puffins bucked a global trend in Wales. Conservationists have counted a record number of puffins on a remote Welsh island, which appears to be acting as a refuge for the species that is declining globally. Meanwhile, in England, twitchers are a flutter after golden eagles were spotted soaring above northern England for the first time in years. The last time they saw one was in 2015. So it's been 10 years, but they did think at one point that they were extinct earlier in the last century. Active gorillas walked free in the DRC. 4 critically endangered eastern lowland gorillas rescued from the illegal wildlife trade have been reintroduced to the wild in Virunga National Park, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. European Museum of the Year revealed that Manchester Museum in England has been crowned European Museum of the Year, with judges praising its contribution to globally significant academic research, as well as its community engagement and social responsibility. And finally, optimism is essential to social progress. Believing that better times lie ahead, even when there's scant evidence, requires a leap of faith. But such optimism is vital to human survival and progress. Suggests a new book, whose name I forgot to include on here, so I will do that during talkback. All of this is to say, and I do realize that the list of headlines I read, none of them occur in the United States, with the exception of the murder rate declining, which is good news. I was a little discouraged by that at first, until I realized that we are so used to seeing just our little bubble that we don't see the rest of the world. The rest of the world, things are really good. And in our own little bubble, things are good. But to me, what's happening in the rest of the world can serve as something to look forward to for us. So, go ahead, homework. Yeah, I know. Just over the next week or two, find good news and share it. Share it with your spouse. Share it on social media if you want. Share it with your next door neighbor. For every doom and gloom headline that you read, because there's going to be a lot of them, because we do need that information. We can't stick our head in the sand. But we also need to know that good things are happening at the same time. So that is your homework. Thank you very much.
I got one already. I read it yesterday. There was a study on sheep in Australia. One herd that grazed in a solar farm and one that grazed out in pasture, and the sheep that grazed on the solar farm, they grew more wool and it was stronger than the other kinds, because they think it's because one, the shade from the solar panels took the stress off the sheep, and that it helped the grass retain more moisture, so the grass grew taller, so the sheep were happy.
I like that.
The good news is that this is going to happen in Lynchburg, around Lynchburg Solar Farm. And Roberta has been reporting on this in several places, so it's already out there, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to
Sheep out there.
yes,
Cool.
and there's a position sheep herder, maybe a dog, but you never know. But
They're really good at it.
yeah, they're really out there.
Let's see here. Liam 414.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our house till we return.
This will take 15 minutes. Be back in 5 till.
Yeah, no, that's free. Monday.